Being pregnant was an absolute nightmare for me. I didn't feel the same bliss and joy that other women seemed to. I could not get used to the feeling of having a being inside of me, and it was extremely uncomfortable and almost unbearable the entire time. Don't even get me started on the birth. And breastfeeding, I never got used to it. It was agony for me from moment one until weaning, and I have internalized so much intense shame and guilt over that. And I just thought that I was a bad version of a human being because I didn't feel this exquisite bliss that other women seem to feel when they breastfed.
Hey special family, welcome back to another video. We're doing another fair use reaction video. It's about autism, of course. Let's take a look at the video.
Alright. Parenting with autism and ADHD. In my case, undiagnosed until late last year. I am 48 years old and I have 4 children, born in 93, 94, 98, and Torin was born in 2007. There's a 9-year gap between Torin and the next oldest sibling, and he's the only one left at home. I have tried to make this video 4 times now, and I keep breaking down crying. I carry a lot of guilt and shame around my parenting journey, and I find it very difficult to talk about. The first word that comes to mind when I think about my parenting journey is fear. I was an anxious, terrified, nervous parent. I was never relaxed. I was never at ease. I was never confident. I ground my teeth flat from stress, developed multiple autoimmune diseases and thyroid conditions, and was diagnosed with clinical sleep deprivation from lying awake at night worrying about them. I believe that autism and ADHD affected every aspect of my parenting journey, and I believe being undiagnosed made it much worse. I believe if I had known, I could have helped my children to understand. I could have sought therapies and help for myself to make it easier. I could have, in general, just have done a better job. Sound sensitivities were obviously a huge issue with 3 young children, Torin having come along later. I was constantly overwhelmed by the noise and constantly trying to find a way to get away from it, which obviously does not go well with parenting 3 young children. Touch sensitivity. I struggled intensely with having all 3 of them on me all of the time. I would get so touched out and so overwhelmed and desperately need my space, but I would never do anything about it because I thought I was a terrible person if I did that. So I just let it build up inside. Those types of sensitivities permeated every aspect of parenting all the way back to pregnancy. Being pregnant was an absolute nightmare for me. I didn't feel the same bliss and joy that other women seemed to. I could not get used to the feeling of having a being inside of me, and it was extremely uncomfortable and almost unbearable the entire time. Don't even get me started on the birth. And breastfeeding, I never got used to it. It was agony for me from moment one until weaning, and I have internalized so much intense shame and guilt over that. And I just thought that I was a bad version of a human being because I didn't feel this exquisite bliss that other women seem to feel when they breastfed. Emotional regulation is a big one. How do you teach your children emotional regulation when you're not very good at it yourself? I struggled with this intensely, and it is one of my greatest sources of shame and guilt surrounding my parenting journey. These issues caused me to be too intense and too angry with my children. I really wish I had known about autism and ADHD rage. I really feel like that would have made a difference. We have a good relationship now, and they have forgiven me, but this is something I really wish was more widely known and understood. I think there are a lot of women who struggle with similar things, who are terrified to speak about it. I love my children more than life, and I would eagerly lay mine down for them, but I do believe they deserved a better mother. My oldest daughter gave me my first grandbaby a 1.5 years ago, and watching them together is the most beautiful thing. She is so relaxed, so calm, so confident, all the things I wasn't, and I am so proud of her. Anyway, I think that's enough for now. I'll try again with this if you guys want more. I'm sorry this has been so hard for me. I really appreciate you all.
This video was taken from this Instagram page and handle. Go ahead and give them a follow. If you have any questions about the video, just post them in there. I've never known about autism and ADHD rage. I've never heard of it. So I am very proud of this mom for coming out and bringing awareness to it. But when I'm thinking about it, it should come up because kids with autism become adults with autism, and back in the day there was no such thing as autism. You couldn't have it. You're not bringing that on this family. So you go about undiagnosed. So an undiagnosed kid with autism became an undiagnosed adult with autism, who became an undiagnosed parent with autism and ADHD, who also had to raise kids and mask. Oh God, she was masking so hard too that she was going against her feeling, against her nature. I can understand where she's coming from, because all the things that your child with autism didn't like, she didn't like it either, but she didn't have a choice. She had to deal with it, and she took her frustration out on the kids. There needs to be awareness around that, because there are a lot of undiagnosed people walking around who are dealing with this, and there are people who are diagnosed who become parents who have to deal with this. So I'm waiting to hear your perspective in the comment section below, if you've ever encountered someone with it, and what have you learned from them regarding this topic. But let's go to the comment section. First commenter says, whoa, big kudos on your honest and transparency. Big. I agree. I am so proud of you for coming out and bringing awareness about it. And thank you, Torin, for also encouraging her to do it. Next commenter, how did your husband partner support you? Torin responded, my mom raised my 3 siblings alone with no support. My dad stepped up and helped with their teenage years before they left home, and he is still here supporting my mom. Next commenter, to the people asking why she kept having children if she hated it, I can't speak for her, but having children is not that black and white. You can hold 2 or more feelings at the same time. I love my children more than anything in the world. I love having children more than anything in the world. And I also find it incredibly difficult and likely won't have any more. But it's just not that simple. Torin responded, thank you, very well said. Next commenter, I often wonder if my mom has ADHD or is autistic. She wouldn't scream at us and blast music during meal times because the sound of us chewing. She would lock herself away in her room and not respond to you for a week, giving the house the silent treatment. There was never I love you, no warmth. When I last talked to her in 2013 or so, she said I did everything perfectly. I was such a good parent. I love her relationship with her built on compassion and mutual growth. What you're doing is so brave, and from a stranger kid's perspective, I have so much respect for you and your vulnerability here. And I can't imagine how challenging it was, even if it's rewarding. Thank you for sharing your story. I thank you too, because it needs to be heard. Next commenter, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about the context here, which is why I'm wondering where her partner was while she was struggling so intensely as a mother. And as a mother myself, I'm feeling so much empathy for her struggle. Torin commented, my mom raised the first 3 alone with no support. 1 older sibling is adopted, left with her when the relationship ended, and she refused to abandon that child. When my dad came along, he helped with their teenage years, and he's still here supporting her. Okay, that makes sense. Next commenter, this is potentially the best video I've seen on Instagram this year. These are real stories and people. Don't talk about parenting like this enough. I agree. Next, the people asking how she keep having babies knowing it was uncomfortable for her. You need to learn the concept of masking in autism. I thought so. I thought she was masking. Next, well, this effed me up at work. Please tell your mom thank you for beautifully communicating that, because this is exactly how I feel as a mom. I have spent many nights crying because of these exact feelings or thoughts. Watching your mom's videos have been so healing and has helped me want to get a late diagnosis. I think you should. Next commenter. Thanks for sharing your journey. It's such a personal thing, but also such a huge help for others to hear. I believe we do our best with the knowledge and experience we have at hand. Absolutely no one is perfect, and when we grow and realize how we could have done things differently, it will always leave us with regret and sadness. My parents could also have done things differently, but I don't doubt that they did their best with what they knew at the time. And I appreciate them for how they've grown with me and been so supportive. I think your kids do too. And you're all very beautiful and lovely people. Thanks for making such a huge difference and being a part of something that's truly inspiring and extraordinary. Torrin responded, thank you so much. I will show my mom you are awesome. Next commenter, sobbing because I finally feel seen. Next, I'm so angry. I hated being pregnant. I hated breastfeeding, noise, and too much stimulation made me crazy. I never knew about rage. Never mind decision making. My complete life has been a never-ending mess, and my guilt as a mom that could have been so much better. My anger is from not having known. Had I known of my ADHD Asperger diagnosis, I would have made so many different decisions. And sadly, after 7 years, my children still don't forgive me. I'm just so angry. Thorin responded, I understand it shouldn't be this way. Sending you support. Next commenter says, you two have no idea how much you have helped others who are affected by neurodivergence and struggle silently. Thorin and Thorin's mom, you are doing a great service to the world. I agree and thank you. Next commenter, you describing your experience with pregnancy is exactly why I don't ever want children or to go through pregnancy. I could never handle the change and stress it puts on your body. I know I would be utterly miserable the entire time, and it would destroy my mental state. I've never heard someone else talk about this experience of pregnancy and child raising as an autistic woman before. This is the first time I feel like my paranoia and fear around pregnancy actually is valid. Thank you so much. Next commenter, as somebody late diagnosed and currently pregnant, this hit home so hard. Thank you, Mama Wolf, for being so honest and open. Next, I'm not sure if this will be helpful for your mom. I wanted to let her know I work closely with adult children who have cut contact with their parents. Most if not all describe the behavior she mentioned, but not a single person I work with has ever had the gift or accountability your mom has shown here. We all make choices as parents that we aren't proud of, especially when unsupported and struggling with undiagnosed neurodivergence. There is so much power in acknowledging those mistakes, stating so beautifully how she wished she'd done things differently. I hope she can someday see that those acknowledgments are what make her brilliant mother, who is absolutely worthy of her beautiful children. Last comments. Thank you so much for sharing this. You are helping so many of us trying to recognize this in ourselves. So many women go undiagnosed. Thank you for sharing. The guilt trip she felt, I wish I could hug her right now. Guys, please go ahead and follow Thorin on Instagram. And let me know in the comment section below what you think about this topic. Have you ever experienced it? Do you know someone who's experiencing it? And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.